Welcome, everybody, to the Heroes Power Hour. Another week here, and we are lucky enough to secure another interview with somebody from HGC. Today we have Justing of Roll20Esports. How you doing, man?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
That's great to hear. Artifice is here with us, our wonderful co-host. So I just want to hop right in. Basically, I try to ask this of a lot of people because it fascinates me, but what got you interested in competitive gaming? When did you know like this was something you wanted to really push for and do?
Probably about like 3 or 4 years ago when I was playing League of Legends with my friend Buds, who I'm still on a team with, and our group of real life friends. We were playing that game and didn't really take it too seriously. Like our friends, we just like played around, messed around. And then when HOTS came out, I was like thinking, wow, I can't wait for HOTS to come out. That game looks so much fun. Like when that comes out, I can just play that. And I got an invite, a beta invite in my email. And then I was trying to get all my friends to come play, and I got Buds to come play. And pretty much just liked the game a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, same thing, except I never got good enough. Artifice, I'll toss it over to you.
Yeah, with your getting into competitive, I read that you reached out to Glarong about auditioning with Buds. Did you actually know each other, or was that kind of like a blind invitation?
You mean, did I know Glarong, or did I know Buds?
Yeah.
Oh, didn't really know Glarong. I'd met him like maybe one time at a previous LAN, because me and Buds were on TNC for last year when it was just like top 8 LANs for NA. And I think I met Glarong maybe like once or twice at those, but never really like got to know him too well.
Okay, a little different now. So I read about you being one of the main forces behind the draft process. Does that stem from this love of chart analysis I read about, or is that more experience-based?
Probably a little bit of both. I do like working with like technical stuff like that. Like I did say in that, and it's still probably true, that like if I wasn't doing this, I'd probably still just be like looking at charts right now. So the draft is kind of similar. Like I've got like spreadsheets, and I just like to, like if you saw, obviously I can't show it, but like our draft prep, I do it with Goku, and like it started with like one small little section on a spreadsheet, and it's like slowly grown into like 2 whole tabs where you have to go like all the way across like the whole spreadsheet. Like I'm pretty bad at organizing, but like
well, maybe when you retire, you can like publish those so we can see it.
Yeah, it'll probably be a couple 100 pages long by then. Like it just grows. Like I don't delete anything. I just keep it all, and just it slowly grows. But,
okay.
Yeah, I just drafting is like a really big part of the game. Like I'll have like dreams about it almost. Like I'll have like anxiety. I'll like wake up and I'll be like, oh, foul stat.
Like, what about this?
Yeah.
With the drafting, why do you feel there's such disparity between the regions, like North America, Europe, and Korea, when it comes to drafting? Because they're all very different.
I think it's mostly just like comes down to play styles that the different regions have, and there's so many viable heroes, I think, in Heroes of the Storm that you can kind of just draft whatever fits your playstyle best.
Okay.
That being said, I think once it gets to like BlizzCon, I feel like the meta is probably going to end up being just whatever works best total. Like I think all the metas are going to kind of come together, and we're going to have just one meta finally for the first time of the year. So I think that'll be kind of cool to see.
Okay. Charlie?
BlizzCon's obviously a very exciting time, and I know with you guys qualifying, you always seem to constantly be motivated and improving yourself. Is that a philosophy that applies to other aspects of your life, or is it something that just seems mutual to Heroes? Because you're a phenomenal Heroes player, and I know like that kind of mental strain and constant work, it's a lot. So is that something that you just how you live your life, or is it just the way you approach gaming?
I wish I could say it was, because I'd like to improve on things, and like I try to like improve myself mostly just so that I can get better at the game. Like I've like read some like books for that, and like done some like sports psychology stuff I've looked into, but it's mostly, so it's like self-improvement stuff, but it's mostly just for the game. Yeah. So for me it's kind of weird, because the game is, to me it's my job, but then it's also like what I like to do for fun. So if I'm avoiding problems that I may have in my real life, that's done by playing my job, like doing my job basically.
Right.
So like it kind of like I can like slack off sort of on like real life stuff and have it still be productive because what I'm slacking off is just playing more HOTS.
Yeah.
So it's like
The dangers of
a little bit of
workaholic.
both, I guess. Yeah. Like I want to improve on other stuff, but in the end, it's pretty much just so that I can get better at HOTS anyways. So if I am slacking off, it's just more HOTS practice anyways. So.
We're all works in progress anyway, so I mean, Artifice, I know you got a few more.
Yeah, a little bit of a detailed one, but you'll be able to follow this pretty easily. It's the statistics I looked up in the last 3 months. So Goku joined on the 9th? Yeah, June 9th. And then we have the beginning of Phase 1, Phase 2, where June 25th was the last time you lost to Gale Force. And then Team Freedom and Tempo Storm in July. Then you won Bloodlust on the 30th. And then all 3 of those teams you 3-0'd in the second part of Phase 2, including that 5-minute game, which I still can't understand. But aside from the obvious, the 3-0ing, what do you think is the main difference between parts 1 and 2 of Phase 2? Was Bloodlust kind of a springboard of development, or was that too different from HDC and it was just practice?
I think that was kind of just practice. Like, the first part of Phase 2, I'm saying that right?
Yes.
Okay. The first part of Phase 2, we were going through like pretty insane changes as a team with picking up Goku. I don't think that was really the reason that we struggled in that first part. Like, I think if we still had Yoda, we would have still lost the same amount of games when we were in that time. That was mostly like we felt like we'd all hit a ceiling when we went to Sweden, and so we wanted to figure out like what the team can do to get past that ceiling so that we're not plateaued. And like with charts and like with anything, like if you want to go past like a plateau, like you have to go down first, and that was like pretty much like what that phase was, or that part was. It was like we had to like basically break everything up and like start from scratch during that time so that we could do better than we were doing. And basically what happened is we kind of changed how we were doing like drafting, we changed how we were doing like shot calling a little bit, and we pretty much just had to like figure out what our new roles were on the team, because with Goku as part of it, he plays similar heroes to what Glaurung plays, so we had to figure out how to accommodate both of them having heroes that they're comfortable on in a draft. We had to accommodate like the different shot calling styles that we like Glaurung had, and then like what like we wanted to do as a team with like Goku on the roster, like, so we could play the game differently with Goku because he's so aggressive in like the off lane, and he like almost always wins his off lane. So like we had to pretty much like rebuild everything, like draft, shot calling, like pretty much everything. So we were literally using that entire like split just to break that stuff apart and rebuild it. And then Bloodlust was around the time that we had like finally gotten everything figured out. Like that was like when like finally everything was starting to be like put back together. And then since Bloodlust, it's just been like pretty much up from there.
Yeah, it definitely shows.
Yeah. Bloodlust was definitely your guys' like kind of coming out party for sure. Like, oh, these guys are for real.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I just I don't have a lot here. You should continue. Honestly.
Okay, all right. I did a little bit more research. So, speaking of Buds, your history with him, the reliance between you over time, you know, from your history in school and all of that, is something that I believe that players and teams can learn from. And the fluidity you've shown obviously is reflective of that. What would you describe as the difference between good players and a good team?
I think there's a lot of good players, but I think there's like very few good teams. I think Heroes of the Storm is so teamwork dependent and like team focused that you could take the 5 best players in each role and put them on the same team and they won't be the best team. Like I think that's sort of like what happened with, that's kind of like what was my theory on Tempo Storm when Tempo Storm was just dominating everybody. Like after they had won a little bit, I was thinking like I didn't think at the time that they were all 5 were just the best in slot in their roles, but as a team they played together well and they just like won everything. And I think now that's still true. So I feel like I think like the biggest thing is just like if you are like if there is a good player, like he just needs to make sure that he is like a team player first, because that's what matters more. Like, I think that being able to work well with others and having, like, bringing a lot to a team environment matters way more than what you can do on your own, especially in Heroes of the Storm.
Yeah.
To you, how important is having a team coach for accomplishing that?
Well, since we haven't had one, not at all, I guess.
Not at all, I guess, yeah.
That's something that
You're
we're
your
kind
own
of looking
coach.
into. Yeah, it's something that we're sort of looking into because we feel like that might be something that could help, like, bring us to a higher level. But as of right now, we've gotten this far without having any kind of like external coach or analyst. But I do feel like that is something that should be valuable.
Maybe for season 2 of HGC.
Yeah, or even Blizzcon, we're considering it. We're like thinking about it.
Nice. Now you've played together with Buds a long time. I read that you also played WoW. Was that PvE or PvP that you played?
It was with him it was mostly PvP, but we were just doing like battlegrounds and stuff and like arena and stuff. But we both did some other stuff in WoW, I guess. Like I did a lot of raiding before I really played with him. I was a little bit more into WoW than he was.
Another statistical thing, raiding.
Yeah, I was really into raiding. I had to like get into a late night raiding guild in like middle school so that I could make soccer practice and raid at the same time. Like I'd like go to like I'd wake up or I'd have to get up for school and be super tired because I had like raids the night before and stuff like that. Like
I think there's a lot of people involved in Blizzard who have gone through that as well.
Yeah.
But on a less serious note, let's say you're not in a serious mood. If you were to play quick match and hit auto select, what is the worst possible option it could be when the game loads?
Probably Murky.
Oh.
I tried. I thought it would be a fun idea to play him. I played him yesterday in quick match, and I just didn't have any fun. It was such a mistake.
I think maybe that's because you're so used to tanking. It's not so fun to tank with Murky.
Yeah. No.
Jumping in on Heroes. Heroes, obviously, I personally feel like it's grown. It's been a very it's been a work in progress, but I think they're finally been hitting their stride over the past year and a half, where they've really kind of smoothed out the release of Heroes and everything. But when you think about Heroes, if there was one thing you could change, what would it be?
Right now, I wish they would remove armor, revert all the armor changes, or like fix armor, because right now I think that's kind of an issue.
What do you use an issue with that?
Just that me as a tank on an Uberak, I'm no tankier. Like I take the same amount of damage when I get hit as like a Vala does at 13, like with Gloom. Just stuff like that. I think that's an issue. There's like no difference. Like I can be a big scary Diablo, but I'm gonna actually take less damage from getting hit than like a Vala with Gloom or like any hero with armor. I think that's kind of bad.
Okay.
That's fair
Yeah,
enough.
I mean, it was always weird to me that the tanks they didn't have any very different properties other than what was in their kit and skill tree. So that's definitely something that could fix that.
Mm-hmm. Are there any Blizzard characters that you would like to see in the game that aren't already?
Not so much. Maybe if any new tanks would be welcome. I'm trying to think if there's anyone really. It'd be cool to get like one of the. I don't want to mess up what I call them because I'll get. Oh, give me a pit lord. I want one of those, like a Manaroth or something.
Okay.
I want one of those.
Okay.
Jiraxis, I think, was one of them as well.
Probably. There's a lot of them. I don't want to mess it up.
Yeah, the lore fiends will come for you.
Yeah.
Blizzard has a lot of those.
Yeah.
I will gladly take all the lore Twitter bullets. I'm terrible at lore, so direct them here.
Nice. But yeah, Heroes has been a game that's been building for a long time now. With the competitive aspect in HGC, how do you think there can be growth from the amateur scene into the pro scene to make it grow more in North America? Is there anything that you think would assist that, like as far as like more events or things like that?
I think maybe just more incentive for players in general. I'm not sure what the plan is for next year, but for a lot of people, it's like the base salary for this year was like a really good start by Blizzard. I think that's good. but that's not gonna actually like make people come from like other games. It's not gonna like make people like really focus on like going pro at the game. They're not gonna like quit their jobs to do it, like unless the payout is higher. So I think that's a big issue. Maybe more incentive for open teams, just in general, not even for winning open, but just incentive for open. Because I feel like there should be more teams, or just like more. Maybe Blizzard could like sponsor like small like in-house leagues. Like I'm not sure if it's still going on, but like there was like chair league and stuff like that, just so that people can play in team environments more and see if they actually like it.
Yeah.
Because I think that stuff helps a lot. Also, I guess like they're doing good with like the college stuff, but just having more players in open in general, I think, is like the biggest thing. Because I'll watch the open from time to time, and I'll see the same people that I was like playing with, like trying to make teams with, and like people who like didn't want to play with me like 2 years ago and stuff like that. And it's like I'll still see them in open. It's like I'm not sure where the new players are, but I think there just aren't enough players in open for it to get too competitive. Like I think the Crucible teams, for the most part, should be the HGC teams should be fairly safe for the most part, besides maybe like the top open team having a chance.
Yeah, that is a problem without incentivization for the amateur teams that are regularly placing between 5th and 8th. You know, they have no real drive, and it can probably feel like they're chasing a pot of gold at the end of a rainbow that doesn't exist, you know, because it's so hard to break into open.
Yeah.
So this has been a phenomenal year for your team. Like, to think about when we first started covering HGC, and we obviously we're not trying to talk about this, but the Chew 8 fiasco at the beginning, and how far everything has come from that point, where we're going, man, these guys are probably going to get bounced in the Crucible with all this drama around the team. Are they going to be able to, like, because this was like a week before the league started and everything. So you, Justine, what do you hope people remember the most about Roll20 at the end of this year?
I guess just I think it's kind of like we're an example of like the sort of like almost like new blood coming to like the top. I think Freedom is also an example of that, but because everyone expected like the teams that were like previously already at the top, like the old like hardcore veterans, to be the best. But I think what happens is in the league format, everyone gets better much faster. So when you have that league format, basically the teams that benefit from that the most are going to be the newer players who haven't had as much experience. So then suddenly the veterans get like pushed out. So which is kind of what happened. Like now, like a lot of like the old like diehard veterans, besides like Glarong, almost all of them are on like the lower teams, and like Team Freedom, it's like mostly new players, like, and us, like we like coming up. So I feel like it's basically just don't underestimate, I guess, like the newer players, or like the quote like weaker players, because they usually have the most improvements to be made from like a league system. It's pretty much like what happened with us. That's
a great answer. I ask you what you want people to remember about your team, and you hope that it's an inspiring message for other teams coming up, and to not sleep on other teams. That's great.
We talked about that last week a little, Charlie, about how it wasn't that the higher teams were getting worse. It was that everyone else was getting better.
Yeah, definitely.
And they weren't waking up to that too. So
because we were talking about Tempo Storm and why they might have fallen,
and Liquid too. Same with Liquid. But wrapping up for me, outside of HGC and competing for the title, what do you look forward to during BlizzCon?
Oh, just the venue. I think BlizzCon, I've never been to it, but I've seen like pictures and stuff. Yeah, it'll be really exciting. Yeah, it looks amazing. It's just just meeting people. It'll be really cool.
The statues even just are really cool to walk around and see all the statues and everything.
Yeah, it'll be cool to see if we have fans too, because the last 2 events we went to were in Europe, so like maybe saw like one person who was like heroes. Like you're not Fnatic, like.
There's quite a bit over the last year. I remember last year we couldn't even find seats for the finals. We had to sit in a different hall because it was completely full. So it's definitely building. And we have the new hall this year, so it'll be interesting to see what moves around.
The narrative around your team too seems to be the great hope of NA. So I think you'll have plenty of people in attendance wanting to shake your hand and cheer you on.
I definitely agree with that. I remember at the beginning of this, like you said, I remember watching somebody's cast about how they were kind of like it was a teammate place 8. Now it's like, oh, I'm sorry we said that, you guys. Just kidding.
Yeah.
So, but I'm sure it's thrilling for you guys, and thank you so much for joining us. I know it's been a long time coming, but I did not want to interrupt that planning process that clearly paid off.
Yeah.
Like it was first we got the 22-0 against MVP Black. Now the 5-minute core. I'm kind of afraid of what's next. So
yeah, how do you top a 5-minute core?
Like months of draft prep, I guess. We've got like over a month for BlizzCon, so we'll see if we can do better than that.
Sure.
There you go.
It's great. It's great. Well, thank you for coming by. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, I know all of us here at the Power Hour will be rooting for Roll20 at BlizzCon, so we really appreciate you stopping in. Yeah, a bit biased.
Thanks for having me. It's been fun.
Any shout-outs or anything you want to mention before we go?
Just shout-outs to Roll20. I'm selling out. Check out Roll20.
Check them out. Follow them on Twitter.
And the merchandise, the jerseys and everything.
Yeah, we're selling these. And pink ones, too.
Those are great. So, yeah, buy those. Sell out and get those.
Yeah.
Because they're great.
That's pretty much it.
Well, thank you for joining us, and we'll be joining our regular cast in a moment here.
Thanks.
All right.